Another interesting topic is actually how does God work? I mean, of course, I don't know how God works, but what I mean is that many people who are believers and have faith and so on, they say that the God shows them the way, the God leads them, and so on and so on. And what does it really mean to experience faith? And like I said in another video, many people look at the faith as a framework and a fairy tale which you pick to feel better, or maybe in some cases also as a kind of psychological framework how to keep sane and so on. But actually, like I said then in that video, very often in the God actually and the spiritual world works in the current world as well. And I thought, and I have heard it before many times before I started my investigations and everything, and I didn't really knew what it means. Like, what does that mean in practice? It sounds cool and so on, but what does it mean? That I don't know, I pray for something and it appears in front of me on the table, or what? So I thought that I will give you just few examples quickly, and in the future maybe more. So one way is, let's say someone needs money because they, let's say, have a late payment, and they are really, it's really, there is no possibility to get this money from anywhere. There is, like, they can't do anything to get that money. Let's say they need 1 day, for instance, to get it, and they don't have it on the bank account, they don't have anyone to borrow from, or whatever reason. It's just impossible, the action which they could take, or they can't imagine the action. Of course, there is always some possibility, but realistically, I mean, let's say they're in a situation that there is nothing they can do themselves. And then suddenly, it can be that suddenly out of the blue something happens and a person appears and just give them the money. And this is one way how God works through us. Either those people are conscious that God is kind of working with them to help someone, sometimes unconscious, they don't know that they are helping this way. It described in many ways in different stories. Some people feel urged that they have to go and tell something to someone because sometimes it's a word. Sometimes they feel urge to give money or something, and they kind of, it's very strong feeling which they can't resist. So it can be various different ways, but this is one way which shows how God can work kind of externally on us. So things start to happen, and very often if you go through tough period, it looks like there is no hope, that it's not possible, you did everything what you could. But especially if you believe, you are faithful, you are close to God, you just need to persist and pray, and then God can turn around everything by itself in a second, instantly, out of the blue. Like I said, example with the money. So that's one way how God works. The other way how God works is also works within us. What does it mean? Again, I didn't understand it for a long time until I started to experience it. And that means is that basically things which were impossible for us to change, for instance, suddenly just go away. One example is not in my case, but maybe good reference is when you smoke, let's say. You try to quit smoking. You try to quit smoking by, just your own kind of character. Then you try to quit smoking, but by some psychological kind of tricks and so on, and methods. Then you try to quit smoking maybe with some additional, I don't know, supplements or medicine or treatments. And nothing works. And if you pray and so on, suddenly God can make that instantly without any psychological techniques, medicine or anything. You just don't have a need to smoke. You don't want to smoke. Never, ever. I met actually a person who had such experience. So this is one example where God can work within us on a kind of our physical body. Another example is to work also on that we become a kind of better people as well. So suddenly we start to get more and more ideas on how we can do things, how we can deal, let's say, with other people. So if you pray, for example, a lot, and you, let's say, had some conflict with someone, and like I said, if it's not removed kind of externally, if you tried all the techniques you could by yourself, again, the techniques of communication and all that, nothing worked. It can be also that you have some problem in you, for example, which, or you run out of ideas, and suddenly you get very clear ideas and clarity how to approach that person, and suddenly everything changes. So this kind of ideas which comes out of the blue, and I'm not talking about the ideas when you take a shower and you get some good ideas, or you recall some book subconsciously which you read 10 years ago. I know about all those things, but I'm talking about something what basically you tried really hard, consciously, subconsciously, psychologically, all kind of ways, analysis, but nothing worked. And suddenly you get out of the blue clarity, and you get, this is the beauty also, that when you start praying, not only reading but actually praying and so on, God kind of gives you more and more of those graces, and you start to see more and more clearly. You get those good ideas, and you see that they are good because when you apply them, they work instantly, and it's things which you couldn't figure it out by yourself. So those are a few ways how actually faith works and God works in this world. Externally, like I said, things can happen kind of internally in our body, but also kind of in our ideas, in our thinking, and this kind of stuff. I hope it will encourage you to at least try, and maybe try and start praying and see what happens for you. This is, remember also, of course, that this is not like a shop, grocery store, but where you just think about the wishes and things happen. But maybe to explain that, it's a deeper topic. Just start praying and see what happens.